Maverick News presents The Rick Walker Show. Defrag your mind.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rick Walker. Welcome to the Maverick News channel. We're dual streaming again tonight. The inquiry into the use of the Emergencies Act is continuing over on our other screen. And we're just going to pick that feed up. And then at the appropriate time, we will dip back in here. And this is where we will have our regular news program for the evening. But for now, I'm still over covering the Emergencies Act hearings. So let's head back over there. And here we go.
Courses I'd like to pursue.
And did that any of that
All
happen?
right, I'll see you on the
got
other
an affirmative
side.
decision to invoke the Emergency Act and to proceed with the implementation.
All right, thank you. And Madame Duran, I believe your evidence today was that Canada first started thinking about the Emergencies Act in the context of these protests after the demock on February 9th. Is that correct?
That's what I said, yeah.
Okay, and then the two-track process where the Emergencies Act was identified as track 2 was started on February 12th?
Well, no? I think we also talk about, the predecessor of the two tracks document, which was a document developed by Jackie Bogdan, I think the following night. So we started the two tracks at the beginning. I think we were talking about Plan E, Plan A, and Plan B. So it was, I think it was before the IRG on the 12th, maybe more the one on the 10th, that we first developed the track 1 and track 2 document.
We were doing our,
all right.
May I add, we were doing our homework on the 9th to feed into deliberations, which became at the incident response group on the 10th. And then that homework came back on the 12th with work that had been done after the IRG on the 10th through the 11th and back into ministers on the 12th.
All right. And there's nothing in the Emergencies Act that prevented the Government of Canada from beginning consultation with the First Ministers on February 9th, correct?
So on February 9, not the decision, but the path of using the Emergency Act was not sufficiently developed to consult. It was one of the options we were working on, but we were not in a position at that time because it was not serious enough as an option to start the consultation. I'd like also to add something. I received a question earlier this afternoon about, another consultation we did on the Emergency Act in relation with COVID. And the situation was quite different. Remember that we also discussed today that the moment we talk about the Emergency Act, that can trigger some reactions. And that was the CSIS assessment on the risk of triggering or invoking the Emergency Act. So we were quite aware that the moment we talk publicly about the Emergency Act, the timeline to take a decision is very short. It can be a go or no go, but you cannot wait. You cannot put that in the domain without taking a decision. And what we were afraid, we were thinking about the Emergency Act. So this is why, we were very concerned, and pas concerned, conscient talking about the Emergency Act will request a very rapid decision, a no or a yes, but a rapid decision.
Okay, so there was a concern there, but certainly no limit on the ability of the Government of Canada to consultation process.
I think what I've said is that, you know, contrary to the virus, you can talk about publicly that you're thinking about using the Emergency Act. Develop, you know, language, can put in writing proposal to provinces, receive a comment, and that will not change how the virus behave. If you engage in a more lengthy process when it comes to protests, that can change how the protest will evolve and how protesters will behave. So this is why we were conscious that the time limit to make a decision was very, very short. The moment it was public and out there that we were considering invoking the Emergency Act.
And then you would agree that that concern, which limited the amount of time that you felt could be given to the First Ministers before they were consulted, meant that the First Ministers weren't able to prepare for that meeting and have briefing from within their public service, from the experts who understand the legislation, the powers that exist in the province, the resources that exist in the province, and what the police of jurisdiction in the province might need if the Emergencies Act were going to be invoked.
I think this is why, you know, after the FMM, well, first of all the conversations, all the FPT engagement prior to the formal consultation on the 14th really support and feed also our decision and our assessment on whether or not a single province can deal with the situation. But this is why after the FMM, we maintained open channel with provinces. We offered briefing and you know, and we were also, if I may say, comfortable with the fact that the Emergency Act was time limited, that we were not displacing any provincial jurisdiction, that any law enforcement was not also displaced. They were able to continue to exercise their authorities. So we also find comfort with that. And also, as I said, we maintained the channel open, and we were also offering possibility, for example, to amend the two measures that we were proposing.
All right, thank you. Those are my only questions tonight.
Okay. Next, I'd like to call on the National Police Federation.
Commissioner, they've ceded their time.
They've ceded their time to, do we know who?
Just at large, so we can get out of here 5 minutes earlier.
Okay, so it's a weekend
Thank
gift.
you.
Okay, well then the Government of Canada doesn't get it, and they are next.
You'll be happy to know, Commissioner, on a Friday evening that I have no questions for these witnesses.
Okay, any re-examination?
No re-examination,
Wow.
Commissioner.
Okay, well, I just have a few short questions, and if you tolerate this with me. And forgive me while I try and find them. In your drafting of a proposal and the timing for the decision by the Prime Minister, did you consider the appropriateness or desirability of scheduling a debate in Parliament, not a vote, just a debate to consult, because the Emergencies Act is a delegation from the legislative to the executive. Was that considered and discarded, or was that not considered? And any comments you may have on that?
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I believe I mentioned earlier that there had been a debate in the House of Commons on February the 7th, which would have been, I think, into the FMM the next day. The Prime Minister's time and space for final deliberations, mine, to give my advice. It sounds like a long time. It wasn't a lot of time at this point. And it was also, we were anxious that that news getting out there, that information getting out there would have had an effect, cause an effect on the nature of what was happening. And it was already a volatile situation. And so there was to be a debate. There was in the House of Commons, there was to be a vote in the House of Commons. And I would say that we thought that was the parliamentary process to be followed in this case. I was going to say something else. I believe the Prime Minister had a consultation with the leaders of the opposition. In addition, I believe Ms. Thomas, the National Security Intelligence Advisor, referred to this on the evening of the 10th. So after the first IRG meeting, I believe the Prime Minister had a conversation with the leaders of the official opposition, including Ms. May at the time, to talk to them about the situation. So there was a parliamentary debate on the 7th. There was that telephone call consultation, not on the EA against her, to be clear, but on the general situation. And then we were into the invocation process.
Okay, if I can then ask you in this couple of questions, and just with respect to the national scope of the order, and I think you've addressed it, I'll call it on one dimension, that it was a national issue, but was part of that consideration the use of federal powers such as the Bank Act, which are because the economic measures are, I guess the Deputy Minister Sabia said money is can move. Were those considerations on whether you would do national or limited?
I'll try and answer your question. If I don't get it right, perhaps you can correct me, sir. But when we thought about both the nature of the situation we were facing was national in terms of how it was manifesting in different parts of the country, but also the people who were participating, let's say the truckers in Ottawa, for example, they didn't just come from Ontario, they came from right across the country. And so to be able to use a deterrence measure to try and encourage people to go home, a deterrence measure, and that was partly what lay behind the use of the emergency economic measures. We were trying to get people to go home. And the freezing of the assets was a pretty important, powerful incentive to go home. Those truckers weren't all from Ontario. They were from across the country. So the use of a national tool, national legislation, allowed us to make sure that we were capturing not just, the people who might have been from this particular site that we were dealing with. Madame, do you want to add anything to that?
That's good, perfect. I just want to add that I don't know if it was during the FMM or the following briefing that I did with provincials and territories, when I was asked, why don't we use the Emergency Act for only one province or two provinces? My answer was what the clerk said, i.e. the movement of protesters and the risk of having pop-ups all across Canada, but also exactly what you said, that in order for the economic measures to be effective, they have to apply Canada-wide. And I think I have said that also during my interview.
Yeah,
Okay.
the financial institutions, for instance, that would be involved are across the country.
Which gets me to an answer you gave, Madame Dubois, and I'm just going to press it a bit. You said the declaration did not displace provincial jurisdictions, I think you said.
Yep.
That's not quite correct. Some of the provincial powers were interfered with. I don't mean it negatively, but that's one of the aspects of this declaration, is it does override the provincial in certain respects.
So with the measure we have adopted, our views was that nothing was displaced. Like the provinces could continue to exercise their authorities. For example, what we did for financial institutions or the power with FinTrack, this is already federal jurisdiction. And we have already authorities to do that. So we haven't, and I think it's, sorry, to interrupt you.
No, I just wanted to direct, for example, you're dealing with case populaires. And you're directing case populaire. That's provincial jurisdiction. You overrode the way federal police officers could become peace officers in the province. So there were, I don't know. I mean, I'm not giving you legal advice.
Yeah, but
I'm raising those points and saying.
I would submit, for example, that Desjardins est déjà assujetti à FinTrack.
Yeah, but
He's already subjected to FinTrack.
Mais on peut avoir des, par exemple, on peut avoir des autorités.
Yes, but we can have
des régulateurs
authorities or federal regulators
qui donnent des ordonnances
that
à des institutions financières,
give
comme
orders to financial institutions like Caisse Populaire.
c'est possible pour une
So it's
entité fédérale
possible for a federal entity
soumettre à certaines ordonnances
to
dans certains
submit to
règlements.
some orders or regulations,
C'est-à-dire, c'est possible pour des,
or
pour
it's
Desjardins
possible for
et
Desjardins
d'autres,
and
coopératives
other
financières d'être
financial
soumis ou sujets
cooperatives to
à
be
des ordonnances
subjected
fédérales.
to federal orders. Yes, but the question is, how do you get there? And if there is any displacement. And the other example that I gave is the fact that the RCMP could come without going through the provincial process to become peace officers. So I don't know, but I'm asking the question. It's only to understand the scope of the order concerning the sharing of powers. Well, it may be a matter of wording.
Submit factums, but I think when I say displace means that what we are offering was in addition of what provinces and law enforcement agencies can do. Like, this is what I mean by not displacing. It was supplementing and not reducing.
Yeah, I understand the intention. And maybe it's a quibble, but I was just wanted to raise it because I think the issue of federal provincial is simply what I have wanted to raise with you.
Commissioner, could I take up the matter of the RCMP point? And no doubt our fantastic legal advisors will correct me if I'm wrong in their eventual information they'll file before you. But I believe what we were trying to achieve there was a facilitation tool that was available to be taken up, not something that was being forced on. So it was discretionary as opposed to obligatory. So
Well,
maybe I'm not trying to quibble either. I'm trying to
No,
to
no,
help you understand.
I'm just raising these things
Yep.
because obviously, that's
Important
part of
matters.
the exercise.
Of course.
And it's an odd process, to say the least. Those are all the questions I had.
Thank you, sir.
Other than to thank you very much for taking the time, especially on a Friday, and to allow us to have extended it beyond what was planned. So thank you very much, and we will adjourn until 9:30 on Monday morning. Okay.
The commission is adjourned. The commission est adjournée.
Okay. Day 26. Thank God it's Friday. Wow. Be right back. We have a special guest coming up. Another convoy is in the works. It's happening tomorrow. It's true. Going to tell you all about it.
Hello, world. Are you awake? Uniting humankind by liberating millions of minds at a time. Maverick News. The world is watching.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
Okay, I'm here. Our guest will be here in a little while. We have other news stories we're going to talk about. Our guest is going to talk to us about this convoy that is planned for tomorrow. It's happening in the Windsor area. So we'll tell you all about that, but we have some other stuff to share with you while we wait for our guest's arrival. First up, Elon Musk says no to Alex Jones. So Musk has been reinstating some people on what he claims is now a free speech platform. And I'll show you. Here we go. So, new Twitter policy is freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach, said Elon Musk just a short time ago in a post on the Twitter platform, which he now owns. Negative/hate tweets will be max deboosted and demonetized, so no ads or other revenue to Twitter. You won't find the tweet unless you specifically seek it out, which is no different from the rest of the internet. Kathy Griffin, Jordan Peterson, and Babylon Bee have been reinstated. Trump decision has not been made yet. Martin Shkreli, War Room, Steve Bannon, General Flynn, Mike Lindell, DC Drano. There's a bunch here. Gateway Pundit, Gavin McInnes, Project Veritas, InfoWars, Alex Jones, Laura Loomer. A bunch. Yeah, there's a, here, we'll bring this up. All these guys are still suspended. We'll see how free the free speech is over on Twitter. Everyone was cheering. Everyone was holding out hope that the bird really might be free. So far, though, there's only free speech for certain people still. So what's Alex Jones saying about this? Well, his response actually surprised me a little bit. He's not really that upset about it. Doesn't seem to be that upset about it. We're on Twitter a little bit with our platform, but it's never generated a lot for me. So I've never really used it a lot. I've had the account for a long time. And we do post the Maverick news feed over there. Hang on just a moment. We'll find this clip from here. Here we are. I just couldn't recognize it. Okay, so let's get this Alex Jones response. Here we go. Okay, let's listen to Alex Jones. See what he says about it. Hang on, we're kind of frozen. Play, baby, play. Doesn't want to play. Alex Jones needs better servers. Okay, how about this? How about I run something while I fix it? Don't worry, Alex. I will fix it for you while our viewers watch crickets.
We are Mavericks. We say no to the Trudeau and Biden New World Order. And to bugs. Because bugs are creepy and gross. And people should not eat bugs. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, we'll try it again here. Come on, play. 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 I want you. Here we go. Play. Not happy. Not happy. Alex Jones is being throttled. Let's try it again. Play.
Resounding response by Twitter. Tens of thousands of responses.
Come on.
Was bring back Alex Jones. Bring back Donald Trump. And to the question of bring back Alex Jones, he responded back and said no. Now, do I blame Elon Musk for this? No, ladies and gentlemen. And quite frankly, I don't care how we get brought back to Twitter. I care about any of these big tech platforms going back to free speech and back to the way the internet was 4 years ago before this reign of surveillance and censorship. Because this isn't just censorship. They're surveilling everything you say in live time, not just on Twitter, but Google, Facebook, all of it in live time. This is criminal. Even Senator Josh Hawley yesterday brought this up to the head of DHS, Marcus, and said, you're helping run the censorship and you're surveilling the American people and telling big tech who to censor. So Elon Musk has the EU threatening him not to bring back Alex Jones and Donald Trump. He has DHS behind the scenes with a bunch of moles inside his organization. There's a question right now on whether Twitter will even be able to continue on to the future because all of the sabotage. So as I said in the last month with this buildup, I want to see Twitter freed overall first and to see if Musk can even get control of it before we talk about Donald Trump or Alex Jones being brought back. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. I've built Infowars.com. I've built our syndicated radio show and TV show that reaches tens of millions a day. You've built it with your word of mouth. And we're not going to sit there and hope that Elon Musk can free Twitter. We've got Rumble. We've got Gab. We've got Getter. We've got Telegram. We've got so many other great platforms, and we're going to continue to energize those and promote those and get those out to the world.
And that's enough of that for now, because, well, he's got Getter and Gab and all those other things. We've got a guest here.
Hello. Hey, how are you? Sorry, I'm in a bit of a loud space. I'm public transit today to get from Peterborough to Brantford so I can participate in the convoys tomorrow out in Detroit area. My truck has finally given up. It's been came from out west with the first original convoy, went out and did 2 big trips out east this summer to meet folks, and won't do any more highway driving. So you've caught me at a bus station. So I hope you can hear me okay.
All right. Well, you're coming in loud and clear, so that's a positive thing.
Great.
First of all, let's get you to introduce yourself so that the Maverick family can get to know you.
Okay, great. So my name is Michelle. Like I mentioned, I originally came in with the Western Convoy to Ottawa, and then I just haven't left Ontario. I figured that there was still a lot of work to be done here on the ground, and I had some time to do it. So here I am.
Okay, and there's a big event planned tomorrow. Fill us in. What exactly is going on? It's in the Windsor area, right?
Yes. So the County of Essex seemed to be ground zero for re-implementing mask mandates in indoor public settings. So Essex takes up about 5 or 6 little counties, and of course it sides right on to Windsor. And so we recalled that the Mayor of Windsor had said in his testimony at the Emergency Inquiries Act that he didn't remember protesters and that we weren't very exceptional. So we thought we would provide him with something exceptional. And we have 4 convoys coming together. We're all meeting at Tilbury, the Boonies Drive-In Theater tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And then we'll be doing an unknown route in and around the Essex County area.
Okay. So 1 o'clock, people are meeting there. How far afield are people coming from? Where are you getting all these convoyers?
Well, I know people are coming from Ottawa. They're going to be leaving really, really early tomorrow morning to come all the way out to Windsor. I came from Peterborough. People are coming from Brantford, Hamilton. I've got somebody dying beside me. And yeah. And so people are coming from far and afield. And if you can't make it by vehicle and you want to stay local, then you can go to your local overpass and grab your Canadian flag and just do a flag wag over your overpass. And we've got about 12 of those booked for tomorrow as well.
Right. Let's just back up a little bit and talk about these mask mandates that have been, I guess, are being implemented in Essex County, which is the rural area around the city of Windsor.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're always kind of anticipating that these mask mandates were going to come back. It was just a matter of when and where was the first to do it. Last year, Peterborough seemed to be ground zero. It would be like the first place it would start, and then if they gained traction in Peterborough, it spread like wildfire. And sure enough, for whatever reason, they decided Peterborough wasn't the area, maybe because it's very centrally located in Southern Ontario. So they decided to pick the farthest place that we could get to, which is Essex County. So they're starting there.
Yes. So it kind of rolled out this way the last time. They started to encourage people to wear masks. And before the provinces implemented their mandates, they let the municipalities kind of take the lead at first. So you see some similarities here.
Absolutely. It's the same thing. It's Groundhog Day again. They start it somewhere, which is indoor settings. If you want to go to the courthouse, if you want to go to the library, if you want to go to get your building permit, then you have to do it. And then it just grabs a hold, and the next thing you know, it's in schools and it's everywhere. So, and in shops. So, you know, you got to nip this in the bud right away. We've learned a lot in the last 2.5 years that we have to get on these things really quick and really big. We've got to make a lot of noise. So we're hoping that tomorrow is going to make quite a splash.
Can people watch any of this online? I would imagine there'll be a lot of people live streaming stuff.
I'm sorry, there was just something loud going on in the background here.
Sure. I just wondered, are there going to be a lot of, there will be people live streaming this? Can people watch some of this tomorrow?
100%. So we've got people all the way from Ottawa to Windsor who will be doing joint live streams together, because what we really want to be able to show people is that everyone is getting behind this. It's not like the first time around where it was just you in your little town and you looked around at the 12 or 15 people around you and you're like, oh my goodness, this is it? Like, are we the only resistance? Now we're going to make sure that we get live streams on Facebook, on TikTok, and we're going to be doing these things together so people can see somebody in Ottawa, somebody in Windsor, and then they can look at the crowd and they can see we're not alone anymore in this. There's a lot of us that are fighting back.
I guess you're asking everyone to be legal and lawful in everything they're doing tomorrow, right?
As we always have been.
Right.
I don't even think that in these convoys that we've been doing, listen, getting to Ottawa this January, February, there wasn't a car accident. Everybody obeyed the law. We participated with police. We got support by police. We only drive slightly slower than the posted maximum speed limit, like usually 15 to 20 kilometers below. We always give people room to merge in and merge out. And in fact, the only problems we've ever had are people that don't like us with our Canadian flags that try to get into our convoy and create problems. So yeah, we have to do this peacefully. We have to do this the Canadian way. And it's always safe. It's always legal. It's always lawful. Absolutely. Safety is our number 1 priority.
Okay. Why? I mean, you don't have to explain it to me, but for our viewers or maybe people who are seeing you and even this live stream for the first time, why are you concerned about the masks?
Because it's a slippery slope. It's a very slippery slope. As soon as the mask mandates come back in one area, it spreads like wildfire. And as soon as we get the masks spreading everywhere, and if we get those masks entrenched, then we're going to have a lockdown or another 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Or maybe they're going to mandate the 3rd jab here in Canada. Like, that is not off the table. Our Prime Minister has bought so many jabs. He's bought enough to jab us each 11 times. 11 times. He has no reason to stop unless we stop him.
11 times. Are you concerned about what you're seeing in the media right now? I noticed today that the media is hammering on Dr. Kieran Moore, the head doctor for Ontario, because they saw him at an event without a mask on last night.
That's right. That's right. He went to the Toronto influencers big party, big gala. Nobody there wearing masks. John Tory not wearing a mask there either. Nobody's wearing a mask. And it is very concerning to me when you watch the mask theater. So if you look to Bali G20, all the leaders are face abundant, smiling and proud, and all the servitudes behind them are all fully masked. That indicates to me this is nothing to do about health. This is all to do about class in society. And again, if we don't call it out immediately and strongly and loudly, this is going to be a wave that's going to come and take us all out once again.
Yes. Well, Michelle, I appreciate you joining us, and I don't want to burn up all your data tonight. Is there anything else you'd like to add or think that I might be missing? Anything else people need to know about tomorrow if they want to participate?
Sure. So 2 things. First off about tomorrow, you can go onto Facebook, onto a website called through unity. And this was a group that was set up by people who have been vaccinated, people who haven't been vaccinated, because we realized the only way to get through this is together. So Freedom Through Unity, you can find all the locations of where the overpass flag wags will be in your area. You'll also find out the convoy routes to get you to Tilbury. And the last thing I want to leave on is this. Just before I left Peterborough today, Ottawa Carleton just announced indoor mask mandates there for the kids in school. And they are recommending that everybody either wear a surgical mask or a N95 mask, and they are going to keep those masks in place until hospital levels go down to 85% occupancy in the hospitals. This is unheard of. Every single year in Canada, hospitals run at 100 or over 100% during flu season. So to expect now, after we've fired so many of our healthcare in the Ontario area, to expect this year, when kids haven't had an immune system for 2 years because they've been locked indoors, they've been wearing masks, they've been, covered up, they haven't had a good, robust immune system for 2 years because of the lockdowns and such. To anticipate now that these kids are going to have to wear a mask until hospital numbers go down to 85% occupancy, this is insanity. Insanity. So please, if you're listening, please come out tomorrow. Like, we have to get in front of this time around. We need every man, woman, and child out on those overpasses again. You need to put your Canadian flags back on your car. You need to get out in convoy. You need to support this stuff online. If you can't get out of your house, watch this, share it, support it, cheer it on. We have to let the greater people know, like the greater population and the government know that we aren't going to take this sitting down this time around.
Okay, well, I'll make sure we get on here early and we'll pick up those streams and we'll broadcast it and we'll get the word out as much as we can here as well. That's what we're here for. Michelle,
thank you so much. Really appreciate the time today. It's great to thanks for sharing. I really appreciate it.
Hang on a second. I have something to do. I'm going to knight you. You are a Maverick Knight, a freedom fighter. Here we go.
We, the Maverick family, do hereby dub thee an official Maverick Knight, freedom fighter extraordinaire. May your courage and devotion to freedom and truth become a shining example to the people of our world and the Maverick universe. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Thank you, Michelle.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much. That made my night. I'm geared up. I'm fired up, and I hope you all are too.
Great. We'll talk again tomorrow. We'll be on here with you. Thank you. Take care. There you go, folks. And big thank you to Michelle. That's awesome. So get out there and support if you can. If you can't, we'll be broadcasting here. Pick up those feeds. Go to Freedom Through Unity on Facebook. You can check that out. I'm going to go and check the Windsor Police website and pick up any media releases they have with regard to this, just to find out what they're saying about it. And we'll be right back with more of that information right after this.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, Independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind.
So just having a little trouble finding the information that I want from, let me just try this again. I know that police are monitoring this. Here, we'll go here. I'm sure we'll find something here. We should anyway. Here we go. 9 hours ago. I don't know if it's been updated since then, but here we go. I've got her. So this is how Windsor police are responding. Windsor police say the Ambassador Bridge blockade in February victimized our community and had an adverse impact on our regional and national economy. Blocking critical infrastructure is illegal. Those who commit criminal acts or contravene applicable legislation will be held accountable. And that is what Windsor police said about freedom fighters coming to their area tomorrow. So in the city of Windsor, they'll be standing on guard, I guess, at the bridge to ward off all those pesky truckers, convoyers, and freedom fighters. The route they'll be taking tomorrow, I don't know. They haven't announced it. Can't imagine why. But they will be, staying within the law and doing things peacefully, as freedom fighters always do. So I'm sure they'll do us proud tomorrow, the people of Canada. Hopefully, we get some positive responses out of everything tomorrow. As we were telling you, though, mainstream media, not happy with Ontario's top doctor, Kieran Moore. No, not happy at all, because he went to this event last night with the who's who of Toronto elite, the movers, the shakers. Ontario Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Kieran Moore, spotted maskless at Toronto Life's 50 most influential Torontonians dinner party, 3 days after strongly recommending Ontarians return to masking indoors. Remember I said that Dr. Moore, there he is, he's not the guy singing. That's Moore just on the left-hand side with his hand in his pocket and his other hand holding a very healthful beverage. Remember I said that in his news conference, I saw fear in his eyes. I stand by that. This is why. The media has targeted him. They're going after him, putting pressure on him. They want him to impose mask mandates. And he's not playing the game the way they want him to play it. Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, also pushing back a little bit here. That's the problem with mainstream media today. They're not just reporting the news, they're trying to manipulate, shape society. control even the people who are supposed to be in power. Dr. Kieran Moore isn't the man calling the shots. I mean, he is, but he isn't. In the end, he's being controlled by someone. He has a boss. And the media is telling him who's boss right now. I can't ever remember a time like this. Here's Toronto's mayor at the same event, also not wearing a mask. They didn't really go after him, though. Not like Kieran Moore. Kieran Moore, top doctor, he is the focus of the media attacks. But the attacks are not coming from other politicians or like bureaucrats. The attacks are coming from the media. Like the media is attacking by asking the question, by doing this story. Well, there's Dr. Moore, and he said people should wear masks. And then there he is, he isn't wearing one. See, if Moore had passed a mandate and then went to this event and didn't wear a mask, if it was mandatory, then I would say, yeah, that's pretty much fair game. And this is very loose, though. It's not mandatory for everyone to be wearing masks, and Moore was not doing anything different than anyone else. John Tory wasn't doing anything different than anyone else. None of these other people are wearing masks. No masks there. And when you go out, you're not seeing masks that much in public yet either, although here where I live yesterday, well, actually, was it yesterday, half the people in the Shoppers Drug Mart when I went to the post office were wearing masks. The other half were not. It's not mandatory. Just doing the story is the pressure. Just doing the story is editorializing. Just doing the story is showing your political ideology, your political colors, your bias. Take it for what it's worth. That's what it is. And John Tory, I mean, honestly, I don't have much sympathy for any of these guys after what they did to us over 2+ years. So I'm not really going to run to their defense now. This should be a lesson to Dr. Kieran Moore, really. Be careful what you bend the knee for. Once you do it, you'll be doing it for the rest of your life. And if you don't, you won't have any place to go. Because if you fail to bend the knee like you just did again, the media eats you alive. And you can't run back to us very easily because you'll be afraid to. You think that we won't welcome you. And a lot of people won't. That's the problem. Just like the senator that we ran the clip from. Right? Said what he really believed off camera when he thought no one would hear what he had to say. And then when it came out in public, because it was actually live, when he walked up to the guy with the camera, he apologized after. Took a stand and acted, like he, had conviction. In reality, very cowardly. I'll say this, though. Anytime they're ready, I'll welcome them back to reality with open arms and compassion. All you have to do is do the right thing. And so far, Dr. Kieran Moore's kind of, he's trying to walk that line, give the people who want the masks the encouragement to wear them if they wish to, and give everyone else their enough freedom to make the choice not to if you choose not to. I don't really have an issue so much with that. I really don't. I mean, I have my own opinions on those masks, but we'll see. We'll see. I think Michelle is right. And I said it here before too. This is how it starts. This is how it started the last time. They started talking about masks. They scared the crap out of everybody. They made it optional. They just encouraged people. As soon as they did that, some people with political power jumped all over it at the municipal level, and municipalities began to pass mask mandates using the authority of the medical officers of health in those regions to put those measures in place. And then it was only days, as I recall. Once they took hold here where I live, it was just a matter of days. It wasn't even a week. And we had provincial mandates announced. It will spread like wildfire again, and it will get into schools if we let it. We need to stand against it if we're opposed to it right now. Don't want to get into too much of the science here because, we are on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and this still, as far as I know, is a sensitive topic. So we can't go too far with our language. But tomorrow, Booney's Drive-In, be there or be square. And if you're square like me, then I guess you'll be online, but find some way to support this thing, even if you're just watching it, commenting. Join me here online. I'll be providing coverage through the day tomorrow, and we'll have more tomorrow night. Yeah, we'll get you what we can on it. I think we'll have quite a bit. It's going to be a pretty big deal, I think, from the sounds of it. Hope so. People coming from all over. And as long as the cops handle it properly, I think it'll be it'll all be pretty smooth. So everybody just stay chill and everything will be okay. Don't go away. More after this.
Fighting the Great Reset by leading the Great Resistance. Maverick News. The antivirus programs for your mind.
So, lots to look forward to for tomorrow. And there's an update now on what's coming down the supply chain line for people worried about Tylenol for their kids. Here we go. I've got the news conference queued up and ready to rock here. These are Canada's top health officials holding a news conference explaining that they have some foreign supply of children's Tylenol on the way, about a million doses or something like that. So let's hear what they had to say today.
Today, I'm here to provide an update on Health Canada actions related to the shortage of infant and children's acetaminophen and ibuprofen products. I'm joined by Dr. Berthiaume and Drs. Tam and New, who will also speak to the current epidemiological situation in Canada. Let me start by saying that I understand that this is a very stressful situation for parents and caregivers. The combination of RSV, the flu, and COVID is hitting our country hard, and these medications can be very helpful in treating some of the symptoms caused by these viruses. Health Canada has been exploring all levers at its disposal to help alleviate the situation. We've been meeting with stakeholders, including manufacturers, retailers, and healthcare professionals on a weekly basis to share information and strategies to minimize the impact of the shortage. Manufacturers have ramped up production to record levels, but demand has continued to increase and significantly outpaced the supply. As a result, we've worked with manufacturers to allow access of foreign product to supplement Canada's supply. We now received and approved 3 proposals to import foreign product, and supply has started to enter the country. After next week, more than 1 million bottles of product will have entered Canada to supply hospitals, community pharmacies, and retailers, and medications will start appearing on store shelves starting early next week. These foreign products include liquid ibuprofen for children and liquid acetaminophen for children and babies. Encouraging, we're continuing to identify additional sources of foreign supplies of both acetaminophen and ibuprofen, and we are assessing proposals for these supplies on a priority basis. And when Health Canada receives a proposal, we review it to ensure that the product is of the same high quality, safety, and efficacy as what we have available in the country. We also need to ensure that people will have access to critical safety information in the official language of their choice. And that includes information on ingredients, dosing, and potential side effects. Now, there have been a lot of questions about behind-the-scenes processes regarding these proposals and whether requirements for bilingual labeling have slowed access to product. I can assure you that this is not the case. And in our commitment to openness and transparency, we've created a dedicated web page on the children's acetaminophen and ibuprofen shortages. Early next week, we will be posting a table of products authorized to import, and we'll continue to update this table as we shortage of certain formulations of amoxicillin in Canada. And while I know this is concerning, I would like to reassure you that Health Canada has been working very closely with the manufacturers, the provinces and territories, and the stakeholders, including the Canadian Pediatric Society, to assess the supply situation and discuss mitigation strategies. This includes looking at potential alternatives or foreign supply. The information gathered to date indicates that amoxicillin is available. So supply to pharmacies may be impacted here and there as measures are taken to equitably distribute inventories, but alternatives also remain available. Health Canada will continue to closely monitor the situation, including the supply of alternatives, and will not hesitate to take any action in collaboration with our partners to ensure sufficient supply and minimize any impact on patients in Canada. I'd like to conclude by acknowledging that the situation is very challenging for parents and caregivers, as well as our healthcare system. While drug shortages continue to make headlines, we are working tirelessly behind the scenes to end these shortages. It'll take time, but things will get better as we start to see the results of increased production of Canadian acetaminophen and ibuprofen products, supplemented by the flow of foreign products come into the country. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.
You're welcome, I guess. You know, I don't ever remember a time in my lifetime, and correct me if you know, I wasn't seeing it. I don't ever remember a time when we had shortages of things like we have now. Ever. We used to hear jokes about it when we were talking about communist countries. You know, Reagan joked about it. In fact, here, you know what? I'm gonna bring that up right now. Hang on a second here. I'm going to show you what I mean. Back in the before times, politicians here in the West used to laugh at economies, at countries that had heavy state control of their economy. Here's Reagan laughing about the former Soviet Union.
I've been collecting stories that are told in the Soviet Union by their people among themselves, which reveal they've got a great sense of humor, but they've also got a pretty cynical attitude toward their system. And I told this one, Bill, you'll have to hear it again. I told it in the car. I didn't tell this one to Gorbachev. You know, there's a 10-year delay in the Soviet Union of delivery of an automobile. And only 1 out of 7 families in the Soviet Union own automobiles. There's a 10-year wait. And you go through quite a process when you're ready to buy, and then you put up the money in advance. And this happened to a fellow, and this is their story that they tell, this joke. That this man, he laid down his money, and then the fellow that was in charge said to him, okay, come back in 10 years and get your car. And he said, morning or afternoon? And the fellow behind the counter said, well, 10 years from now, what difference does it make? And he said, well, the plumber's coming in the morning. I just want to, oh, I can't resist. I'm supposed to quit right here. But, oh yes. But in view of the 5 things that I just said, I don't know whether you know it or not, but I have a new hobby. I am collecting stories that I can actually prove are told among the Russian people. They make them up themselves, they tell them between themselves, reveals they got a great sense of humor, and they've also got a little cynical attitude about things in their country. And one of these stories, the one I'm going to tell you, I told to General Secretary Gorbachev, and he laughed. The story was an American and a Russian arguing about their 2 countries. And the American said, look, in my country, I can walk into the Oval Office, I can pound the president's desk and say, Mr. President, I don't like the way you're running our country. And the Russian said, I can do that. The American said, you can? He says, yes. I can go into the Kremlin to the General Secretary's office, pound his desk and say, Mr. General Secretary, I don't like the way President Reagan's running his country. You know, less than 1 family out of 7 in the Soviet Union owns an automobile. Most of the automobiles are driven by the bureaucrats. The government furnishes them and drivers and so forth. So an order went out one day to the police that anyone caught speeding, anyone, no matter who, gets a ticket. Well, Gorbachev came out of his country home, his dacha. He was late getting to the Kremlin. There was his limousine and driver waiting. He told the driver to get in the back seat, he'd drive, and down the road he went. They passed 2 motorcycle cops. One took out after him. And pretty soon he's back with his buddy. And his buddy says, well, did you give him a ticket? And he said, no. Well, he said, why not? Oh, he said, too important. Well, he said, we're told to give anybody a ticket, no matter who it is. Oh, he said, no, this one was too, I could. Well, he said, who was it? He said, I couldn't recognize him. But his driver was Gorbachev. One of the more recent ones that I heard was about the man walking along the street at night, Moscow. Soviet soldier called to him to halt. He started to run. The soldier shot him. And another man said, why did you do that? Well, he said, curfew. Well, he said, it isn't curfew yet. He said, I know. He's a friend of mine. I know where he lives. He couldn't have made it. I heard one about a fellow who went to the KGB to report that he lost his parrot. The KGB asked him why he was bothering them. Why didn't he just report it to the local police? Well, he answered, I just want you to know that I don't agree with a thing my parrot has to say. Which makes me think of a story. Everything makes me think of a story. About 3 dogs, an American dog and a Polish dog and a Russian dog. They were all having a visit, and the American dog was telling them about how things were in this country. He said, you know, you bark, you bark long enough, and then somebody comes along and gives you some meat. And the Polish dog said, what's meat? The Russian dog says, what's bark? I have to interrupt right here and tell you that one of my visits, I won't name him, I don't want to embarrass him, but one of the heads of state that I met with on this visit, he gave me one while I was on the way. Told me the story about the two fellows in the Soviet Union that were walking down the street, and the one of them says, have we really achieved full communism? Is this it? Is this now full communism? The other one said, oh, hell no, things are going to get a lot worse.
Yep. Yep. Things are going to get a lot worse. Yeah. Which reminds me of a joke my brother used to tell. How's it go? It's young guy met an old guy on a train. And it goes something like the old guy said to the young guy, what's wrong? He says, well, I'm depressed. The old guy said, I'm probably not getting this right. But the old guy, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, this is the worst joke ever told. I forgot the darn joke. It'll come to me later. I'll share with you when my brain gets out of the fog of day 26 of the emergencies inquiry. The punchline is anyway. The guy said, it was something like, cheer up, things could get worse. And then the old guy said something like, yeah, sure enough, things got worse. I really screwed that up. My apologies. That's why I'm not a comedian. I'll be right back. Don't go away.
We are Mavericks. We say no to the Trudeau and Biden New World Order. And to bugs. Because bugs are creepy and gross. And people should not eat bugs. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hey, no! The bugs!
Okay, I'm back and we have more news. Attorney General Garland has named special counsel in the Trump Mar-a-Lago and January 6th probes. Mainstream media picking up on that. This is just not going to end. Merrick Garland appointed John L. Jacksmith as a special counsel to oversee the entirety of the Justice Department's criminal investigation into the alleged unlawful retention of national defense information at former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, as well as key aspects of its probe into the events of January 6th. So Tuesday, Trump announced that he was running for president for a third time, and they decided that created a conflict of interest, and that's what triggered the appointment of a special counsel, according to the Department of Justice, special counsel guidelines. In this order, Garland says Smith is authorized to conduct the ongoing investigation into whether any person or entity violated the law in connection with efforts to interfere with the lawful transfer of power following the 2020 presidential election or the certification of the Electoral College vote held on January 6, 2021. It goes on, it goes on, it goes on. The story goes on. You get the idea. More and more and more about that. You know, if I'm so tired of all this lawfare, this back and forth. Republicans are going to investigate the Biden family, and Trump's under investigation for the 2000th time for this or that, and it just all, and there's a special committee on this and insurrection. Oh my God. If we could just get off this legal merry-go-round and get them to focus on doing something productive for the people and investing all the time, energy, and money in that, imagine where we could be. If they would stop investing tax dollars and printed money in weapons and funding for wars, just put all the people to work building something instead of blowing crap up. Imagine how much better off we would all be. It really doesn't make any sense. People keep voting for these people. They keep voting for that. Stop voting for it. Just stop. Justin Trudeau still jet setting around the world. He missed, Toronto's top most influential people of the universe patting each other on the back award ceremony, where Dr. Kieran Moore and all the other elites weren't wearing any masks. But that's because he's still on the JT 2022 World Tour, stopping in Bangkok this time. He was at the ASEAN Summit and then the G20 Summit. And now he's hanging out in Bangkok. I don't know what he's spending on his hotel rooms there right now, but like I said before, he's not at the Super 8. Here he is. Here's his address today.
Merci, Mary. Bonjour tout le monde. I just wrapped up my participation in the leaders meeting of the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum here in Bangkok. This was an opportunity to connect with other leaders from governments and businesses from around the world. It was important for Canada to be here, to deepen our trade ties in this region, which is a major part of our upcoming Indo-Pacific strategy. More trade, more market access means more good jobs for Canadians and a stronger middle class. Just like we did during the ASEAN and G20 summits, we continue to demonstrate that Canada is a reliable and stable country to do business with. We have a diverse and growing economy, we have a skilled workforce, and we have strong trading relationships around the world, including the CPTPP, which benefits many of our APEC partners who are Pacific nations. L'Indo-Pacifique est la région économique qui connaît la croissance la plus rapide au monde. Ça veut dire énormément de potentiel pour le Canada. Pour nos travailleurs,
those comments so far mirror, in many ways, the same comments we got at those other summits. And I noticed even some of the talking points he was using while on this this tour mirrored talking points from his election campaign, the things he keeps on hammering home in Canada when he's speaking.
Indo-Pacific economies are growing faster than almost anywhere else on Earth. And with it, so grows their need for food, agriculture, and fisheries. Today, we're announcing that we'll establish our first ever agricultural office in the Indo-Pacific. Canadian farmers are proud to feed the world. This new office will make sure that our agricultural products, known for their quality, reach new markets and feed this region's growing population. The need for clean energy and green infrastructure is also growing at a rapid pace here in the Indo-Pacific. As the world moves towards net zero, there is enormous potential to grow our ties in the natural resources sector. Canada is stepping up to be the reliable energy and technology supplier that a net zero world will need. For example, in just the last year, we've gone from 5th in the world to 2nd in the world when it comes to the battery supply chain. To keep us moving forward, we're investing in our natural resource trade ties with Indo-Pacific partners. We'll boost our exports of critical minerals and hydrogen, and we'll share our clean tech expertise. By meeting the demand for clean energy here in the Indo-Pacific, we're seizing opportunities for our workers and businesses at home to create more good middle-class jobs and economic growth. From economic and energy security in the Indo-Pacific to peace and security, today we witnessed yet another reckless ballistic missile test from North Korea that has landed off the shores of Japan. This is completely unacceptable and must not continue. This afternoon, I had a meeting with Vice President Harris and the Prime Ministers of Japan, South Korea, New Zealand, and Australia. We're committed to promoting peace, stability, and the rules-based order in the North Pacific and across the region. All global partners have a role to play. The Canadian Armed Forces are already working side by side with defense partners through, for example, Operation Neon, which helps enforce UN sanctions against North Korea. In our upcoming Indo-Pacific strategy, you'll see that we'll be making new investments to enhance the Canadian Armed Forces engagement in the region. This will support our allies, Japan and South Korea, and all of us in the Pacific. In an uncertain world, this was an important week for Canada's economic interests and for many other issues that matter to people. At the ASEAN Summit, we announced that we'll elevate Canada's relationship with ASEAN to a strategic partnership. This is a strong demonstration of our engagement in the region and is part of our plan to expand and deepen our economic ties. What this means is that countries here with major populations and economies will increasingly look to Canada for business and investment partnerships. At the G20, where the world's biggest economies gathered, I again strongly condemned Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine. We announced another round of military aid for Ukrainians. In my many conversations with world leaders, I discussed priorities like defending human rights in the Indo-Pacific and other parts of the world, such as Iran. We also announced new investments to fight climate change and build sustainable infrastructure, for example, to help countries get off coal power and transition to clean energy. During all these summits, including here at APEC, we focused on building partnerships that create good jobs for Canadian workers and more opportunities for businesses. Canada and the Indo-Pacific share strong ties between our peoples, and we'll keep working to make sure these ties get even stronger. Canada is a reliable, engaged, and long-term partner in the region, ready to invest for a better future for everyone. Pendant qu'on est ici dans l'industrie.
That's enough. Yeah, he was busy at the G20 doing all this stuff, stabbing people in the back by leaking conversations to the media to embarrass the leader of China, one of our biggest trading partners, because he's really worried about Canada's brand and reputation as a stable trading partner. Yeah. And it's a good thing we've got him at the helm, steady as she goes, in lockstep with Joe Biden. That's why North Korea's, firing missiles and stuff. Yeah, because, everything's stable. He's all about peace. That's why we have to keep sending money to Ukraine and weapons. Peace. Yeah, he's all about peace. That's what he said. Just to backtrack a little bit, I didn't get to this clip. This is related to the special counsel being appointed to look into and investigate Donald Trump. Here we go.
To get us out here tonight. Well, it's almost tonight, this afternoon, as the sun is probably setting at this time. But no big reason. There's just a lot going on today.
Okay. Was the president aware of the attorney general's decision to name a special counsel to oversee the investigations into former President Trump? And is there any action from him to that decision?
So just first, I can just tell you, no, he was not aware. We were not aware. As you know, the Department of Justice makes decisions about its criminal investigation independently. We are not involved. We have not been aware about this particular investigation or any criminal investigation. I would refer you to the Department of Justice on any questions on this. But again, we were not given advance notice. We were not aware of this investigation.
Any reaction from the president?
No reaction. Again, this is going to be up to the Attorney General, up to the Department of Justice as it relates to a criminal investigation. But I can tell you that the president was not aware. We were not aware. We were not given advance notice. And I would refer you to Department of Justice.
And then on the brief, the State Department filed last night in the Jamal Khashoggi litigation. Does the president have any concerns that the administration may be sending the wrong message about his commitment to holding the Saudis accountable on human rights? And can you say whether he signed off on that?
So just let me just say at the top, just so that there's clarity, and I know that you've heard from the State Department on this as well and other colleagues, at the request of a federal district court for U.S. government views on whether Mohammed bin Salman enjoys head of state immunity, the Department of Justice, at the request of the Department of State, informed the court that Prime Minister bin Salman is immune from suit in the U.S. courts while he holds the office of Prime Minister. It's nothing to do with the merits of this case. Want to be very clear on this, but this is something that the State Department and the Department of Justice has more details on. So I would certainly refer you to them.
One last question. Can you say if the president was COVID tested after he got back from Indonesia? There was a possible exposure there, and then tomorrow he's going to be among guests at his granddaughter's wedding here.
No, it's a good question. I can tell you that he was not a close contact. If you're speaking about John Kerry, he was not a close contact. I can tell you that. I was not able to have an opportunity. It's just been a busy day to check in on when he was last tested, but certainly we will check in on that.
Thank you.
Department's decision regarding MBS and this Khashoggi case. Was he consulted by State Department officials, Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, anybody else? Was he asked to weigh in?
So look, again, this is immunity determination is a legal one. That's what I was laying out earlier. The United States consistently has afforded head of state immunity to heads of government, such as prime ministers, consistent with customary and institutional law. U.S. practice on this issue is longstanding and consistent, including a number of head of state immunity cases from the past 4 administrations. And the example is President Aristide. This was of Haiti in 1993. President of Zimbabwe, the president of Zimbabwe at the time in 2001. Prime Minister Modi, India, as we all know, in 2014. And the State Department and DOJ will have more information for you on these particular pieces. I'm not aware. I'm just going to answer that. I'm not aware of any conversations providing advance notice, and so I can just say that I am not aware of any of any advance notice to this particular issue.
Two tech-related ones. Some Democratic senators today calling on the FTC to investigate potential violations of consumer protection laws by Twitter. Curious if the White House agrees that perhaps that agency should do that, or has any other comment on the ongoing committee at that platform.
So look, as you know, the FTC is an independent agency, not going to comment on any actions that they may or may not be taking. Again, not going to comment. It's their independent. I'm going to leave it there.
Does the White House plan to continue using the platform amid the uncertainty about its future?
So look, we've seen the reports, as all of you have, on what is currently happening with Twitter, but we're not going to speculate on its future of the site or what may happen next to the site, but we're just not going to comment from there.
And there was a meeting yesterday between some Silicon Valley CEOs and White House officials regarding the passage or the potential passage of the big tech antitrust legislation that's been pushed by Senators Klobuchar and Grassley as bipartisan support. Does the president support putting that bill on the floor?
So what's going to happen with the Trump special counsel and that investigation? Nothing. What's going to happen with the Jamal Khashoggi case? Nothing. Why are they worried about Twitter? Why all this hullabaloo about Twitter? Because the US government and other governments use Twitter as one of their main tools in the information war. It's one of the planks that they helped to establish. Having Elon Musk own it and turn it into more of a free speech platform is a big concern for them, because the government was controlling it. They're not supposed to. It's actually illegal. It runs against the Constitution because of what they're doing with censorship and control of information. But that's what they've been using it for. Not just at home, but around the world. Using it to shape public opinion and to generate responses from people. You control the media. You can control, and I mean online media and television too, but especially online media. And you control the people. You control online media. You can control the people. You can make them think things. You can control their minds. You can. They are. And it's scary. That's why you're getting all of this hurricane type activities swirling around Twitter and Elon Musk. And he's under a lot of pressure. And that's why he's not immediately bringing Trump back. That's why he said no to Alex Jones. Committed to free speech, but only to the point where the government tells him, don't you frickin' dare. Don't you dare. Should ask yourself why. I'll give you some insight into that when I comment on the other side of this transition, this break, when I comment on the other way to look at the Freedom Convoy and the inquiry. Don't go away.
Fighting the Great Reset by leading the Great Resistance. Maverick News. The antivirus programs for your mind.
The government was afraid of the occupation in Ottawa when the Freedom Convoy came to town. They were afraid of protesters. They're afraid even of the convoy tomorrow. We're told that it was violent and that there were people who wanted to overthrow the government. So they had to invoke the Emergencies Act because it was a national crisis, and every tool in the toolbox had either been used or had been deemed to be inadequate. Police just couldn't cope on their own. They needed Justin Trudeau to swoop in like a superhero and save the day. Save the country. You had to save the country. But that's not true. That's not true at all. What really happened was the country was under attack. There was an emergency, a national emergency, a catastrophe, unprecedented. There was an assault on Canada unlike anything ever seen before. It was high tech, it was low tech, it was unique, was another word they used at the inquiry. The attack on Canada was unique. The people were under attack because, and the people attacking them were assaultive. They were engaging in assaultive behavior. They were relentless. And even as people complained and begged for mercy, they felt abandoned by police, and they wondered if anyone would come to save them. It's true. All of that is true. And then the people being assaulted, and they were being harassed. Their rights weren't being respected. It's all true. It is true. And the people suffering couldn't understand what the heck had happened. They said, "What has happened to this country?" And they opened their eyes, and the wider their eyes were opened, the more confused they became, because they realized that the enemy that was being assaultive and violent was within. The enemy was within, was within. The enemy was the government. And it made no sense. And they begged for mercy. And they were told, "No, you must stay home." And the people said, "It's our right to protest." And they were told, "No, no protesting allowed. No outdoor gatherings allowed." those rights don't matter anymore. Not right now. No, there are more important things to worry about. So all those rights things, forget that. And the people said, but this is Canada. And they said, yeah, well, just put on a mask. Stay home. If you go out and protest, you could face fines of up to $100,000. And then the government did incredible things to protect us. They fenced off blossom trees in Toronto. They arrested kids on outdoor skating rinks. The Prime Minister made it very clear that there was a small fringe minority of crazy Nazi fascist people out there with unacceptable views and wondered if they should be tolerated. And the people said, why are you calling me that? I'm just a Canadian. And they didn't know what to do. Because the man they had elected to represent them, the man who was supposed to protect them, who said he was protecting them, had stripped them of all their rights and had locked them in their houses and had taken away their choice. And those who didn't comply were punished, convicted of insubordination, and they lost their jobs and their ability to take care of their families. And the people realized that they had no voice and they did not know what to do. And they realized that the country was under attack. It was still confusing. And they knew they had to tell someone something and they had to make a change somehow. They needed someone to help them. And the man that they needed to help them, the people that they needed to help them, the people in charge, weren't listening. So the people communicated using new technology, a thing called the internet, social media. And they all got together in a loosely knit convoy. And together, without actually saying the words, because it was just known instinctively, they declared their own national emergency. But they didn't declare war on their government. They decided to do what Canadians have a right to do. They decided to protest. So they drove from all corners of the country to the nation's capital. And they parked outside the Prime Minister's office. To let him know that there was a national emergency. And they thought perhaps he's made a mistake. Maybe he just needs to hear what we have to say, and then maybe we can solve this problem and we can get back to normal, real normal, not a new normal. And that was the national emergency. That's the real national emergency. People lost their jobs, their homes, their rights, their freedom. The Prime Minister stole their freedom. And the people said, that's the most valuable thing we have in this country. And it's gone because we're under attack. There is a national emergency. But then the prime minister and all his high-paid servants and underlings got together and had a meeting and said, these people don't get it. They're just too stupid. We told them to stay home and they didn't listen. They're not Canadians. They're terrorists. Let's get CSIS and the OPP and the RCMP and other police services across the country and security intelligence people. Let's get them all together and get them in a room, kick them in the butt, come up with some ideas. And you know what they came up with? They decided to declare their own emergency. And they can do that because they used legislation, the old War Measures Act. They just dusted that thing off. 30 years old when it was rewritten, and it had this nice shiny new title on it, the Emergencies Act, not the War Measures Act anymore. So it was pretty easy to sell that to the public. They said, yeah, we've got a big emergency. Look at all the fascistic domestic terrorists out here. Look at all those Nazi truckers. Emergency, red alert. And that's what we've been hearing about at the inquiry. Those bureaucrats and politicians have it upside down, folks. They're trying to sell the idea that the truckers posed the risk to the country. It was the truckers and the protesters. It was you and all the freedom fighters who were out there saving the country. That's why it wasn't violent. That's why all the freedom fighters were flying the Canadian flags, because they loved their country. They didn't want to overthrow the country. They just wanted their elected officials to represent them properly and listen to them. But the elite politicians who've baked the system to entrench themselves in power don't have to listen anymore, because they've got the money, they've got the media, they've got the ability to sway public opinion just enough so that they don't lose power. They're overconfident. Justin Trudeau is overconfident. There's still lots of battles to be fought before this war is over. And we're going to win because we're going to stay peaceful, and we're going to do it legally, and we are going to use the system properly. And we're going to take this damn country back. There is an emergency. There was an emergency. There still is. Keep flying your flags upside down. Fly them upside down tomorrow. It pisses them off. But it's entirely appropriate. Tonight, Canada remains in distress. Tomorrow, the fight to take her back continues. Get your butt to Windsor.
Fighting the Great Reset. By leading the Great Resistance. Maverick News. The antivirus programs for your mind.
Okay, who wants to go to the phones? I do. Okay, I'll fire up the phone lines. Hang on, folks. Call-in show right after this.
Fear not the storm, for truth is on our side. Maverick News. The world is watching.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
Okay, the phone lines are open. Here's how you call.
Join the conversation. Call 1-833-975-3733. That's 1-833-975. Free. Speak up. Speak out. Make your voice heard. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom by defending your right to free speech. Be a Maverick. Join us.
Okay, I'm back and we're ready to go to the phones. Lots to talk about tonight. First caller up is going to be John. Just give me a second here and we'll get John on the screen here. And there he is. Hello, John.
Hey, good evening. Yeah.
John, I have something to tell you. I'm glad you called. That that picture that I put up last night of the art, and in that caption,
the little dog, your dog underneath.
Yeah, that one. The artist Jerry Swallow told me that the John referred to in that big picture is you.
That little dog, yeah, is that your little dog there? That's a nice picture. I like that. You know, I've been thinking about that picture all day. I've been thinking about it. I go, what a nice picture that was.
Well,
it's the dog, eh? I like that dog underneath the desk.
Yeah. So
put it up again. I want to see it.
There it is, right there. Yep. Yeah. So it says here, Maverick News antivirus programs for your mind, Real News Network, Rick Walker, and then the caption says, "I'm answering the phone," and it says, "Who do we have on the line? Ah, Sir John. What's on your mind tonight?"
And the dog's got a red nose too.
That's right. And it says to Rick, best wishes, Sailor Jerry 2022. And I have to say that dog's been very naughty, as you can see in that photo. But honestly, my dog doesn't do that. He's extremely well trained when it comes to house training. He doesn't do that. So I'm very fortunate in that way. But he's still very hyper because he's still a puppy. Just turned a year old. A year. Can you believe that? Yeah, his birthday was just the other day.
Yeah, he's got to do more of those. I like those pictures. That was a good one.
That's awesome. I'm very grateful for that.
What was I heard today? DeSantis. He's got a lot of heavy donors.
Oh, no doubt.
Trust that guy.
No doubt. Yeah.
See, Trump's got a lot of small donors. $100 here, $100 there. But I don't know. Anyways, that's politics over there.
Do you like DeSantis?
Yeah, actually I do, because he's not so I don't know. I don't know. But like, the only thing I don't like these old guys in politics. Like Trudeau, look at him. How come he's not wearing a mask? Talking to the President Xi there.
Yeah,
Huh?
and the media is not all over him about it. They're not calling him out.
No, exactly. And his nose. Look, he's got some shit on his nose. Where did he get that from? You know, the guy's. I don't understand that guy. You know, he did that party there. No one had a mask on.
Yeah.
But they pick on him. Why would you wear a mask when nobody's got a mask on? Me, I'd feel out of place if I had a mask on and no one else did. I Bear Spirit. I like that name. Yeah. But yeah, it's they're all it's a woke. You know, those guys. They're, you know, if you're a liberal, they don't bother you.
Sailor Jerry says he'll do another picture, so that's great. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it took me a while to get that thing up. We're so busy. There's so much material to cover every night. I can't get to everything. And every night I'm like, I've got to get that picture up. I've got to get that picture up. And it took me, about 2 weeks before I actually got it up. And I put it up early, first thing in the morning one day, but I thought a lot of people aren't even watching, you know, when I go on first thing in the morning at 9 a.m. But I think that's great. Thank you, Jerry, again for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. That's a nice. You're very talented, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do for a living, but you should be an artist.
Yeah. I think he is. He is an artist. Yeah. Should be able to earn a living doing that. That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Hey, by the way, last night I was listening to some weird stuff on the radio, but this is your favorite topic, cars. You like cars, right? I wrote the stuff down from the conversation. A Toyota Corolla, roughly, this is U.S. because it was American, but $20,000, and a Chevy Bolt, $30,000. So, like, you know, you're looking at, electric cars weigh 50%. They're 50% heavier than the gasoline cars.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means there's more wear and tear on the road because they're heavier.
Yeah.
So they're probably, if you got an electric car, they're going to introduce road tax because you're ruining the roads. You know, they got to fix more potholes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know? But there's takes 30 minutes to charge up a car, electric car, versus like 2 minutes for gas.
Yeah.
Electric car lasts 8 years. Gas car lasts 12 years.
12? My car is like almost 20. I think.
Yeah. If you look after it, for sure.
Yeah. I just keep fixing it and fixing it and fixing it. Yeah.
They said 40% of the people live in apartments worldwide. 40% of the world population live in apartments. So I don't know whether they're going to charge these cars up. You know,
they can wire up all the buildings, I guess, and put charging outlets in each parking spot. You could do it. Costs a lot of money.
Yeah, that's another thing they said about the gas stations. For them to convert to car chargers, they get hardly any business. They lose money because everybody charges their car at home.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, okay, gas. Do you know why gas is so high? Everybody blames Russia. But you know what the real reason is? It's the woke government. They don't want fracking. They don't want drilling.
That's right.
So whatever holes they got now, they're pumping gas out of. But
that's right.
Look at Trudeau and Biden. You can't drill new holes.
Yeah. Correct.
So that's cutting all the gas supply out.
Yeah. Yeah, they with less supply, same demand, higher prices.
That's right. And the insurance for electric car is like 50% more than my gas.
Is that because they're more expensive to fix if you get into an accident and more likely to be written off?
Yeah, I guess. But if you look it up, we'll call your insurance. Like if you own a Toyota Corolla gas and a Chevy Bolt, you're paying 50% more.
I would imagine that they write those electric cars off much more quickly, because if you get into an accident, do you want a rebuilt electric car with wiring that potentially could short out and cause a fire? You've seen those electric car fires, right? I don't know.
Oh, there was one today in the paper. In the paper was one today.
Yeah.
Tesla. And yeah, they were showing it was on fire. You know, the battery, they have to go like 5 places over the world. Like, make a car battery, you need cobalt, you need copper, you need lithium. There's rare earth, and you have to get them all over the hell's acres, eh?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
What makes people think that this is a sustainable product? It is not.
Well, this is what I'm getting at. Like, this is what I'm getting at. I'm saying it's going to fail. You know, for what? For what? Climate change? Climate change. There is no climate change. Like, the people do not put climate change. You want to know the real climate change? It's greenhouse gas. You got water, sucks up, the sun sucks it up, makes clouds. Clouds is insulation. Greenhouse gas is, this guy's last night, he's a scientist, very, very good. He was on Coast to Coast last night, but he's very, very good. I wrote down a lot of stuff, but because it's very interesting. And he said the world, the Earth, in the last 200 years, the temperature has only moved like 1%. It's just a fraction.
The whole thing is just
it's like Trump on his speeches. He goes, the water level goes up a ½ inch, and they're all freaking out over climate change. Then this year it goes back down again, goes down an inch. You know,
it doesn't matter what it does, if it goes up or if it goes down, if it gets too hot or it gets colder. It's all climate change. Oh yeah, oh, for crying out loud. And when the hurricanes come every year, right on schedule in the fall, I pulled up information. I went back, I looked right here on the show the one night, showing that there is the storms are no worse, showing the level of damage, the level of death. Storms in the past were actually, in many cases, much worse, with more death and less population density, all, up along the Florida coast and everything. I pulled it up. I went and I looked up all the old hurricanes. You can do it. Just go on Wikipedia. It's all there. All the information. It's all a bunch of BS.
Yeah, that's what the climate change, volcanoes, the water, greenhouse. It's all greenhouse gas. That's what's. It's rotten plants.
Yes.
That's what. Yeah.
We're not going to run out of oil. There's an ocean.
No.
There are oceans of oil under the crust of the earth. Oceans and oceans and oceans.
Russians are already on it.
Yeah. There's plenty. It was accumulating over millions and millions of years, not just from dinosaurs, but from everything decaying. That's what it is. It's all decayed, old, gooky gunk from millions of years of stuff decomposing. That's what oil is. And then we take it and refine it. And we are sitting on oceans of it.
Yes.
And when we burn it, it goes up into the atmosphere and then it comes back down. The soot and the stuff, the carbon, it actually, rain particles form around that. And Mother Nature cleanses itself in the ecosystem because it's a big circle. And it comes back down and it helps it rain. And the more and if it gets a little bit warmer, you get more plants, and that sucks the CO2 out of the atmosphere so that it balances itself out, and more things grow so more people can eat. And it actually helps food production if there is more carbon dioxide. Because the planet knows there are more people, we need more food. So there's more carbon dioxide being produced. You know what's going to happen when they stop burning stuff and when we stop producing carbon? We'll get less plant life, and then we're all going to freaking starve.
Yeah. But look at space. You get all these wind dust. That contributes to climate change also, you know? So, like, you know, I don't know.
I laugh.
It's all
I
cash
laugh.
grab.
They talk about climate change, and they launch all these rockets, and some of them blow up, and you see the black plumes of rocket fuel spewing carbon into the atmosphere. That's okay, but don't drive your car with the catalytic converter that, you know, converts all the hazardous fumes to innate, you know. Oh, for crying out loud. They don't have enough. They don't have enough. They can't mine enough lithium to supply the market now. They're having trouble mining enough. They're talking about how there will be already are lithium shortages, and we're just getting started. What do you think we have more of? Oil, lithium, or lithium and cobalt? I'll tell you, I'm pretty sure we've got a lot more oil.
We got
a lot
more oil.
natural gas.
Oil is easier to get. You know, in Africa, I was watching this guy that lives there, and he says they're ruining our country trying to dig up this cobalt everywhere.
Yeah.
All our waters, it's all going to swamp.
Yes,
it's like
contaminating
they're ruining
the water.
our
It's making
country.
the water toxic.
Yeah, they're contaminating it. Yes, they're ruining their forest and their habitat. They're digging for this, you know. But another thing is these truckers. All the truckers out there, don't worry about self-driving trucks. Don't worry about electric trucks. It's never going to happen. You're always going to need a driver. Like Rick, if you see a driverless truck coming at you, get out of the way. It's not going to stop. You know, they're controlled by satellites. Okay, if the satellites fail, these trucks are going right through you, man. They ain't stopping. You know, so we're going to have so many accidents. It's not funny. Like,
that's probably why Justin Trudeau has no respect for truckers. He figures they're all going to be unemployed soon and replaced by self-driving trucks.
Never going to happen. Never going to happen. You guys are all safe. Don't worry about it. They have to check the brake lines. There's so many safety checks you got to do on that truck. Regular maintenance. You got to disconnect the load. You got to the airlines. You got to bleed them. These guys. You think you just jump in a truck and drive? There's so much maintenance that how are you going to do it if it's a bunch of horse shit? You're always going to need a driver in there. So I wouldn't be worried about it. Stick to your jobs. You're not going to be out of work.
Not tomorrow, maybe the next day. I don't know what the future holds.
But I don't know if I see a driverless truck or a driverless car coming at me. I don't know what those satellites fail because they work by satellite.
Yeah,
satellite. Say a solar flare hits them or something happens, they ain't stopping. And you know, guys like Elon Musk, they're probably going to have a clause that you can't sue them if something happens. Once this all this driverless cars, it's going to be like the other thing that we got going on right now. You can't sue them. And I don't know. There was an article today that when Musk's cars driverless, it got in a crazy accident, and they're blaming Musk, and they're trying to sue him. And Musk goes, it's got nothing to do with the car.
Yes, well, he has
So-
fallen out of favor over this Twitter thing. The media doesn't like him now. The government's on his ass. He's in a bit of hot water. I'm not sure. There's so much going on that we don't see. I get a sense of what it is, and I mentioned it earlier, but he really has to watch his step right now because he's treading into the international military, intelligence game. He owns one of their platforms, and it's making them feel very nervous. And he isn't really. I don't think he's an American citizen, is he? He was born in South Africa, but does he have American citizenship?
South Africa.
Yeah, South Africa. So I don't think they're happy about that. We'll see where that goes.
Well, look at Trump there. He's running for president again.
Yes.
How can you run for president when you haven't conceded for losing your last presidency? Can you figure that one out? He hasn't conceded yet. How can you run for president?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess we have to ask him.
That's why I like Trump. He makes you laugh. He's I was thinking Trump's going to go down in flames, if he but now I'm thinking if DeSantis has all these big pharma money backing him up, people are not going to vote for him. That's what I'm thinking.
If
right now.
DeSantis has big pharma backing him up, you mean, or Trump?
DeSantis. No, Trump gets all his money from little donors. It's all $100 here, $200 there. I get bombarded every day, like thousands of emails from everybody in his campaign to donate money.
Yes.
Yeah. So, that's where he gets most of his,
Yeah.
That's where he gets most of his money. But DeSantis, I heard he's getting big money from big corporate companies. So, and you know what? When that happens, they all want something. I'll shoot you 50 grand. You got to do this for me, right?
Yep, that's right. That's right.
So,
that's right. Nothing's free in politics. So
yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. It's crazy.
It's crazy. All right, I'm going to move on, John. I got a couple more callers here, and I'm going to try and wrap up shortly. Been another long
we'll
day.
see you tomorrow. Hey, tomorrow should be interesting. I like those riots. Those not the riots, the rallies. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a good night. Bye.
See you. Bye. It's Dr. Doom 42.
Hey, buddy, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dr. Doom. Over to you.
Oh, right on. Hey, man, how do you like the energy so far? It's got to mess up around here, buddy.
How do I like the energy?
No, anarchy.
Oh, the anarchy.
Yes, man. Oh, buddy. It's real messed up.
Mixed feelings.
Mixed feelings. That's the answer, man. Oh, seriously, like, here's the problem. Oh, fuck, what did I call it? Mob something. There is a gang friggin', what the fuck was it? Harassment? No, something different. Anyway, man, the cops are fucking for it, and it's like fucked up. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tired, man. I gotta fucking think of what I'm fucking saying here. Sorry, and I can't swear too much. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, well, here's the example that the point I was trying to make, I guess, as I friggin' try to roll a joint here in the dark, but nonetheless, because as you know, we're in Canada, right? And it's like, that's legal. But anyway, the in the dark thing, well, it's my time, yeah.
Okay. So,
but anyway, I'll get on with the story. So, I was at the convenience store the other day, and I realized and happened to notice that what she rung up in the cash register didn't match the price that was on the tag in the fridge, $2.49. Because I had $3.10 I just got from the bottle return place. So I knew exactly how much money I had in my pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I figured that'd be enough to buy the item. But then she starts explaining to me like bottle deposit tax, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, when it rung up in the cash register, it should at least the numbers should match up and then that stuff added on, right? Which was not the case. So one thing led to another, and the girl just flared up and Karened out. And before you know it, she's yelling, "I'm calling the cops." And it's like, holy fuck. What the hell is going on here? So anyway, I waited for the cops across the street because she wasn't even joking, man. Like, a discrepancy in the price caused this poor young girl to freak out so bad that she calls the guy. It's not just one car, but two cars with a gentleman in it with a gun to deal with me. That's
okay.
just a little much. You see my point? That's just not normal behavior of anybody.
What was
But
it? What were you buying?
That type of
What did you
behavior
say it was?
explained to me is condoned by the police and the store owners because it's private property. Apparently, it's their store. They can do whatever the heck they want, including having the police tell me that it's okay for them to do that shit. Which is kind of ridiculous because here's the point. You know, when the cop came across the street to ask me about it, he's like putting his gloves on. And that's my indication. It's like, this guy means business. He doesn't want to touch me with his bare skin because he just means business about slamming me in the back of the police car. But that didn't happen, thankfully, because I had explained to him the particular situation. And he asked me, I said, "Is what you're telling me what I'm going to see in that camera in there?" It's like, "Absolutely, sir. Why would I bullshit you, man?" It's like, so he finally buggered off, and then the other fucking RCMP member buggered off, and then it was safe to leave. Like, that's anarchy for you around here, buddy. Nova Scotia, Aylesford, actually. It was at the Mead's convenience store. True story. Happened the other day.
And what were you trying to buy for $2.49?
Can of pop.
A can of pop.
A large can of pop, like one of those supersized cans is more than the regular size can, bigger than a 300 something milliliter. I don't know, close to 500 milliliters.
Well, I'm sorry that happened
so
to
even
you.
add 10 cents on to $1.49, right? And then add tax 15% or whatever. I don't think know. But still, I should have had enough money. You go figure. But no, like I said, it didn't ring up right. So she freaks out over that to call the cops on me, to blah, blah, blah. I don't know what happened. But anyway, I was talking to the owner of there's another store she owns in Kingston. But anyway, this was in the Aylesford location. I talked to the lady that owns the store in Kingston. It's the same lady that owns both stores. Mm-hmm. And she, to me, that somehow what was their terminology? Flew dirty to the girl, or something like that is where her words was. And I don't even know what she means by that, fuck's sake. So I tried to stop her right there and said, "What do you even mean by that, lady?" And she was like, "I don't know, it's just like I was mad at her or something." Like, that's totally the opposite. Like, it clearly wouldn't show that on any of the audio or video of any type of recording in that facility. Like, it's clearly what I told the cop, right? Not what she's making up and making out to be, because she's just the owner that can make up whatever the fuck she wants and believe whatever she wants, to call the cops and tell them, just like, "Don't worry about what he says. I have precedence, whatever. I'm the friggin' store owner." Like, that's her opinion, Like, I don't understand.
Okay, well,
what's
listen,
going on, really,
listen.
other than anarchy.
I got to wrap up because we're just about at the end of our allotted time on YouTube for the day. We can only go a max 12 hours.
Cool. Well, what is it now anyway? Is it 12 hours, man? Because I've been having issues with that.
12 hours, and then
okay, cool.
Then they stop.
After that, it starts solving it
so,
up from the other end. I know, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna pull out of the call because I've got one more person on the line here that I definitely got to get to. So I appreciate the call. Have a good night.
Cool. I'll watch you on the YouTube and listen there, man. Thanks for taking the call, man, and using up your phone time. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
All right.
And we've got somebody on the line. I'm not sure who it is. Hello. Go ahead. You're on. Who am I talking to?
Hello?
Hi there.
Hello?
Go ahead. You're on the air.
Oh, hey, Rick.
Hey,
just was inquiring. I think your email is down, bud.
My email is down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to email you. I couldn't get anything through. It's coming up non-returnable.
What's your name?
Randy.
Randy. And it's coming. Are you sure you're using the right email? Maverickmultimedia at mail.com? Mail.com?
Yes, sir.
That's strange. I mean, I'm seeing some emails come in today. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I can't count that high. There's a whole crap load of email coming. A lot of email in there.
Yeah, it's coming back with a... All right. Well, it's not going through. It's coming up with a some kind of error that's not accepting.
Well, there must be a mistake in the way you're punching it in, maybe. I don't know, because I'm seeing lots of email flowing through there. I'll put it up on the screen here for you. I've got this right here. There it is right there. Maverick Multimedia at mail.com.
At mail.com.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it, could it be because I'm sending it through Gmail?
That would not work. That's correct. Gmail will not work.
Okay. So it has to go through another server?
Yeah, it's because it's not a Gmail account.
No, I wasn't sending it to a Gmail account. Through Gmail, from Gmail to your
No, you can send
mail.
it from Gmail. But what I'm saying is sometimes people get confused and they might put a gmail.com. And if you're trying to send an e-transfer, I'm recommending to people tonight, please don't send e-transfers to this email address right now, because somebody sent one and it went wayward. I don't know what happened to it, and I don't have it. They haven't figured out what went wrong. My guess is, and I'm just guessing, that they sent it to a Gmail account, so it didn't work. So, I'm hoping they can
No, I wasn't sending you something through Gmail.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try again through a different mail account.
Yeah.
And see if you get it.
Yeah, I mean,
thank you for.
I do have other emails, so if it's not working or people are having a lot of trouble, I'll set up a different one, or I'll put a different one up so people can use a different email. But that's the one that I use really for this purpose mainly. So that's the easiest way to reach me right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I really don't have anything to say on air except, thank you for being an honest journalist. Somebody actually can, talk the truth.
Thank you.
Get a little bit of perspective.
I received a phone call from an old friend today, an old, not that old, but it was a reporter that I knew from a number of years ago. And this person phoned me today and reconnected because they found the show online and didn't know that this was happening. And we had a great conversation. I was
accidentally came across you here in the last little while.
Yeah. Yeah, I was delighted because we were on the same page. This was a person who was a newspaper reporter. And when we had this conversation, they said, "Oh, I saw your show," and I thought, "Oh boy, here we go!" Right? But no, right on track with where my headspace is. So it was so refreshing, and it was a treat to have the conversation today. I was just so pleased, and I'm glad that they called, because I think good things will come from that. So I'm happy.
You need a little perspective out of. I see that you kind of bring every angle into play. You're not focused on one certain thing, which is a good perspective to pass around.
Yeah. Well, we keep on trying every day anyway. That's all we can do. Didn't think I'd be doing this at this point in my life. Honestly, I didn't think I'd be sitting here 12, 14, 16 hours a day in front of a computer screen with a microphone and doing this. I never would have thought, but it's got to be done.
Well, you're killing it.
It's got to be done. So the broadcasts will continue until freedom improves. There you go.
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I sure hope so.
All right.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. You have a great night.
You too.
All right. Okay, folks, we're gonna call it a night. I really appreciate everybody hanging in there all day today. Another long one, a long week. Day 26 in the can from the Convoy Emergencies Act inquiry. That one's behind us. We have at least, I think, another week of this inquiry to get through next week. And my guess is it'll go all next week and then maybe a little bit into the week after. That's my guess. Don't know for sure. I'll tell you this. Can't wait to get JT on the stand. Want to see that. I want to see that. That should be explosive. Unless he just sits up there and runs out the clock and dodges questions. We'll see. I'm sure he has his narrative all planned out. And these bureaucrats, they're setting it all up for him, aren't they? They're just kind of getting it all, softening everything up for him, giving him the information that he needs in advance so he knows right where to go, just what to say. But then it'll be Miller time. And hopefully they give him enough time to get some truth out of the guy. Tomorrow, don't forget, Convoy. You know, I'm supposed to be impartial as a journalist. At least that's the old school way. But this is new journalism. And we're all about truth and freedom here. That's our focus. We're here for the people. And tomorrow, that convoy is the people. I hope police remember that. There's a lot of healing that has to take place between the public and the police. I'm hoping we can get there. But they're going to have to take the politics out of policing for that to happen. They're going to have to find a way to do that. They talk about systemic problems in policing. There are systemic problems. It's political. I'll be back tomorrow, I guess probably a little before 1 with coverage of the big convoy heading into Southern Ontario. Looking forward to it. Should be an interesting day because Essex County, just down the road from me, that's ground zero for masks. What happens there could easily spread to the rest of the country and maybe even into the US. Don't doubt it. It's happened before. And the mainstream media forces, they want it to happen again. I'm going to go get some rest, so I have the energy to get through this tomorrow. Catch you on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.